I asked Kim Askew to make some remarks today, which is what we do at these lunches. We haven't had one for a couple of years, so it's really nice to be back together and do this. Kim is just amazing. All of us who know her know she's just a whirlwind of energy, and she's a partner at DLA Piper, and she's a litigator. She does it all. She tries jury trials, court trials. She handles appeals. She does employment work. She does commercial work. She has a lot of reach, breadth, and depth. And she's done a lot for the American Law Institute. She was elected to the council in 2007. She's been a member of the Development Committee, the Membership Committee, a special outreach committee, and she also shepherded a very wonderful bequest by Vester Hughes to the for the benefit of the ALI, and that was wonderful. She has a big reputation nationwide. She's been on the board of directors in the House of Delegates of the ABA. She's a past chair of the litigation section of the ABA, which is, I think, their biggest section. And she's been chair of the State Bar of the Texas Board of Directors. So she's a superstar, and it's a privilege to have her here today. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, David. My family would be really proud of those comments that you made. And so would the partners in my law firm. Please tell them that at compensation time. It is a great honor to stand before you today. When David asked me to speak today, I received his phone call, and I was somewhat taken aback. It was one of those times I knew I'd been in ALI a long time, but I thought 25 years. I knew the anniversary was coming, but that call made it a reality. Of course, I was honored to accept this, and of course, who says no to the president of the American Law Institute? So thank you. I'm happy to be at this luncheon with the other members of my class, and of course with the members of the 50-year class who are here today. Mike Trainer, who has really been a great mentor to me in ALI, and Victor Schwartz, I know from my law school days, and he did not know me, but I told him that I have known him as long as I have thought about anything about being a lawyer. So it is an honor. This is my year, this is our year, so I said we all just give ourselves a hand again. This 25th year moment also caused me to reflect on how I came to be a member of ALI. And it was very interesting because last night at that wonderful dinner that we had, so many of us were talking about how we came to be involved in such a wonderful organization. As many of you know, one of my great mentors and law partner was Vester Hughes, who was a member of ALI and served on the council for decades. He had often talked to me about ALI, and for a couple of years, I just did not respond. I was busy. But I knew the restatements from law schools. Those were the days we actually used the restatements in law schools, and you thought you would improve your performance on the test by reading the restatements. So I knew what the American Law Institute did, and I also used the restatements in my work as a law clerk, especially when I wanted to suggest to my judge that I really was brilliant on a particular point, and he was the one who reminded me long before I joined ALI and heard our leaders say numerous times that, Kim, those reporters' notes, that is not the law. Get me the law. So, but with all of that, I still saw ALI as a place where my great law professors, the great thinkers, and partners like Vester Hughes and other ones that I had come to know in the profession and through the American Bar Association, like Roberta Ramo, that's where they were doing law reform, and I was just trying to be a partner slugging it out in the courts of Texas. Well, one day, Vester Hughes appeared in my office, and that alone was a significant event because we were usually summoned to Vester's office, and he said only a few words with no discussion. ALI, this is the year. Your membership application has been submitted, and here I stand before you today. And I still remember the letter that I received from Charles Allen Wright, who was the president when I became a member. It was a beautiful letter, and he had written some comments because he had heard me give a couple of talks. I spoke a lot at the time for the State Bar of Texas, or was beginning to, and I so treasured it that I taped it onto my law school diploma because I was quite proud of it, but also because I had a letter from Charles Allen Wright, and none of the University of Texas grads who had taken federal courts and been on law review had such a letter. I still have that letter. So when I was asked to originally give this talk, I was told that I had 20 minutes, and then they said, yeah, we got a lot to do, take it down to 10. So I'm quite used to that because judges cut me off all the time, and usually in the middle of an argument, but I'm still glad to be here with you. So I really put together a very thoughtful speech. I won't talk about the area that I was going to talk about. It was quite litigation-oriented. And then I kind of threw it out. And I threw it out once I got here because coming and being amongst those whom you do this important work with just makes you think about what you're going to say to an audience like this. And it's like me as a trial lawyer. I practice my openings and my closings with my jury consultants and often with my clients, and then I get into the courtroom and I give my argument. So I came, and like all of you, I immediately began immersing myself into the great work that we do. And I felt our energy. There's a power that's created when we are together. And there's a great goodwill that we all draw from each other. And I watched and experienced these powerful minds at work on the complex legal issues that we face. And this was quite an agenda that we had at this meeting. It was a very full one. And I kept going back to things that I think about as a lawyer, as a person, as a citizen. And I thought about what we really do here and how that has impacted me, how I think about things, and what I think the role of this institution is today and what it will be in the future. There's so much going on in our country, and like many of you, I believe that our country, we're just at a critical moment in our history. The attacks on our judicial system, the attacks on the norms in our democracy, and of course, the sustained attacks on the rule of law. And these challenges are aggravated by the incivility in our public discourse and even in the discourse in our courts among those who are the highest and the best trained in the skills of advocacy and debate. And as I watched our deliberative process and the goodwill that we consistently display to each other, I just kept thinking about why ALI is so important and why the work that we do here has such significance in our society. And I hope that my very brief comments remind you of that, because I think institutions like ours play such an important role in continuing to promote civility and collaboration, which I believe are the cornerstones of our democracy. And in doing our work the way we do it, we continue to support our judicial system, our democratic institutions, and importantly, we protect the rule of law. Our discourse, incivility, lack of discourse, that's what we see. I turn off the television most of the time because one round of the news and I can't take it anymore. But ALI continues to be a model for how we can attack some of the most difficult issues in law. And that's what we have always done. In good times and bad times, we do that great work. We vigorously debate, and yes, we disagree. We have conflict. And that is only natural because so many of the complex issues that we discuss, there are no easy answers. And reasonable people can certainly come to different answers on some of those issues. The law is often in conflict, and we are law reformers. Our discussions are vigorous, frequently spirited, and sometimes even a little loud. But our debates are always well informed, and our positions are well considered. We listen, and we truly try to hear each other. We are polite to each other, or at least we try to be when the parliamentarian is looking. There is respect for the positions of others, even when we don't always agree. And of this process, these great restatements of the law, these principles of the law, our model codes, they are born of this rigorous and powerful debate. I heard Roberto Ramos say the other day that there is truly an elegance in our discourse, and it is. And after we do our great debates, we come together as we're here today, as friends and peers and colleagues, and we wish each other well. And I wish that those who lead some of the most respected institutions in our democracy could see more of what we do. The great debate, they would know that great debates can lead to a better outcome, that disagreements and conflicts in positions can lead us to the correct position or a stronger position. We know that compromise can and does work. In ALI, we are better because of our process, and we have proven it now for almost a century. That's pretty amazing. In ALI, we are just better because we work to make sure that our process for getting to the best result works. I was thinking about the Bosky motion because we actually had a couple of new members ask Ricky what a Bosky motion was. I had the great honor to get to know Bennett and actually have him explain to me what a Bosky motion was. Very proud of it. I will recall we were in the Philly office at a council meeting, and he actually gave me a copy of the ALI style manual. I'm sure he was telling me in his very special way that I had a long way to go in understanding the process, but that was okay. I still have my style manual, and I fully understand what a Bosky motion is. So, but I mention it because each time I hear the Bosky motion being made, it is a reminder of a tool that a great mind thought of and that we use to add to our ability to do our work in an orderly fashion. After vigorous, spirited debate, we can move forward. Those editorial prerogatives allow us to continue our work and to bring our great products to publication. And the great products that we do. I just would not stand before David and Ricky and try to talk about restatements of law and principles of law, but this is some of the great work that we create. I am especially proud of the scope of our work. I have seen it expand since I have been a member. I have watched us as we work very hard to address emerging areas of law. We debated the restatement of the law on children and the law. I mean, think about what this restatement does. It addresses issues with children long and way beyond the traditional family law concept and context, because that's how we learned it, that's how I learned it, and I learned so much just listening to those issues being debated and understanding the true guidance that ALI would be giving to courts and to practitioners everywhere. The principles on policing, it will do much. To guide our courts, legislatures, and the police on tough issues of policing. And I remember talking to a couple of people about our process and that we actually had police and victim advocates in the room as we were doing our work, and they all kind of went, how did that go? Because we opened it, we expanded it, because we wanted those great ideas. That is ALI in the moment, finding ways to really get to the heart of the issues that we seek to help resolve in our society. And then the principles of the law on student sexual misconduct. That gave rise to some very interesting discussions, but I know that these principles will be used by universities and colleges. I represent universities and colleges in the employment context often, and I'm called upon to give guidance on investigations and when we do this or that, and there's great value in what we are about to, again, produce to the profession. I enjoy talking about the work of ALI, and I like to talk about the new things we do, but of course, most of the lawyers that I talk to, they want to know about those traditional restatements that they grew up with just as I did. I remember Judge Rosenthal and I going on the road to talk about the restatement of employment, and people would say, oh, the ALI did a restatement on employment. Yes, we did, because again, we are trying to keep up. This afternoon, we're going to be debating torts and, remedies, our concluding provisions, and of course, the work we did this morning on property. I just would mention the work on the UCC, which I kind of avoid most of the time. I try not to tell Steve that, and of course, the great work we've done on the Model Penal Code. I also want to talk about one of the things that I'm particularly proud of that ALI has done recently, because I think it shows just how nimble and responsive we try to be in working to address the critical issues of our time. And that is the guidance that we provided with respect to the Electoral Count Act. David and Ricky convened some of the greatest leaders and thinkers in our country to address this issue. They came from across many practices, government, academic backgrounds, and from all sides of the political spectrum to make recommendations on what we could do with the ECA. And of course, given ALI's leadership role in convening this august group, they of course developed principles. So there are principles out there that can be used. So while the work was undertaken. It was not the official work of the ALI because it did not come before our council and our membership. This work showed the power of ALI to convene the best in the profession and to provide a process and a vehicle by which these great minds and leaders could address this critical issue. And this work was in the moment. Didn't take us 10 years to do it. Congress can take these principles and they can act on them at any time if they choose to take that action. And it can certainly be done before future elections, including the 2024 election when Congress would next count electoral votes. And I finally want to mention the important work that we have done on diversity and our outreach efforts during my tenure in these 25 years. I'm particularly proud of ALI's efforts to expand our membership and to be more inclusive as we continue to elect distinguished members who reflect the excellence and diversity of our entire legal profession. I served on what was then known as the Outreach Committee and later the Membership Committee, and know the tremendous efforts that ALI has put into this effort. Again, I'm looking at Mike Traynor, who first appointed me to the Outreach Committee. And when I talk about diversity, I'm talking about diversity in all forms. Just take a look at our membership. You see it. Women, lawyers of color, corporate counsel, early career scholars, lawyers, judges, and academics from states that were not as well represented in our membership. And I believe that our membership today is a more diverse and inclusive one that we should be proud of, and that ALI is a stronger and more resilient institution that can withstand any challenges of the future because it better reflects our great profession and the people and institutions we all serve. And of course, I could not stand here knowing that our membership chair is anywhere in this building without saying that this great work should continue, and I know that we will. I also want to mention our early career scholars. That was an outgrowth of our outreach work as we looked at how to bring in more early career scholars. We have seen the great work done. We had 2 medals awarded today, and I hope that we continue to bring in those great scholars and that they are sitting here with us celebrating 50 years one day. So, I stand before you because I believe in the work of the American Law Institute. I believe it fortifies and helps to sustain the rule of law, and I hope that the demand for our respected leadership will only continue to grow. This institute offers a model of civility and collaboration that we know can serve as a model for other areas in many of our other institutions. And I hope that the Institute continues to innovate and to be flexible as we evolve to meet the many changing demands of our profession and the society in which we live. ALI, what we do is more important than ever. Thank you.